Hello, 45 Alpha Charlie Papa, and all you readers of American Gunsmith. We really appreciate the opportunity to get into American Gunsmith and show you some of our videos. I want to thank the editor for the exposure. Today, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about, to you black powder shooters, you lords of the dark arts, those who have gone to Hogwarts and taken the dark arts courses. No, I'm talking about black powder. So we're going to talk about the Colt cap and ball revolvers, a problem they have that you may or may not be aware of, and a solution that's out there that very few people really know about. So first we're going to go and we're going to take a look at what the problem is. Let's pan down to the guns we brought in. And we have a reproduction, a brass frame reproduction of the 1851 Colt Navy in .44 caliber, something that never actually existed. It was invented by the Italians. A copy of the Dance Brothers revolver that was made in Texas for the Confederacy, which is a Colt copy, and an 1858 Remington Army. That's here for comparison. The problem with the Colt system, if you've shot it much, you've probably run into it, is that it has this very large way cut into the frame for the hammer to come and strike the nipple. And what happens is when you fire, sometimes as you go to cock the gun, the fired percussion cap will fall into the works. They'll come back and fall into the works, especially if you raise the gun as you cock. So the way they normally tell you to avoid that is in the middle of a match or a shooting contest, you're supposed to turn the gun to the side, one side or the other, depending if you're left or right-handed, so that the cap falls out. And then come back up straight and shoot the gun the second time, and between each firing, tilt the gun. Well, that's in theory fine, and yes, it does work. If you remember to do it each and every time. The one time you forget to do it is the one time a cap's going to end up down here in the action, and it will tie the gun up, and you will be done for that stage. So, just give you a better look at the problem, we'll take this Colt apart, or this Colt copy apart. This is the dance revolver. And you can see the large opening here that the cylinder fits in for the hammer to pass through, and you can see where it is wide open for that cap to fall into the action, and it will absolutely tie it up. It's been a problem since the gun was invented and went into production. Quite simple to put back together and take apart. Everything is held together by the wedge that goes in and holds the entire gun together. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to do something about that to where the cap doesn't fall so freely through. Now, quite frankly, the Remington had already solved this problem. The 1858 Remington, though not as handy as the Colt, and certainly not as popular as the Colt, come on out of there. Well, you have to pull the rod out all the way, the center pin out all the way. Solve the problem by simply not leaving that large opening. If you can see this, here's the other view, the hammer passes through a slot in the frame, and when you go to cock it, the expended cap has been smashed down to a larger size than that opening, so it doesn't fall into the action the way it does on the Colt. So the solution was already known. It was just a question of how do you apply it to the Colt action if you want to solve it. So I bright light over at the Manhattan Firearms Manufacturing Company in New Jersey came up with the idea of what if we closed off that slot in the Colt sub. And we've done that on this 1851 Army or Navy reproduction. Actually, reproduction of the 1851 Navy that never existed. And okay, so if we pull the wedge out of it and pull the barrel off of it, take the cylinder out, what they did simply was to narrow the hammer and put two little pieces of metal in there to where they have closed off the size of that opening to where the cap is much less likely to fall through. This is called a Manhattan conversion because it was incorporated by the Manhattan Firearms Company, who really didn't make very many guns, but featured on some of the guns made by the Manhattan Firearms Company. It's got nothing to do with the island in New York, where all the lawyers are. It's definitely just named after the firearms manufacturer who incorporated it. And what it does is it keeps that cap from falling back into the action. It's a fairly simple gunsmithing job. It's just a matter of taking, in this case, I took a couple of pieces of brass and soldered them in there, and then relieved the hammer. You can see how much I've narrowed down the hammer right here, so it will fit into that gap. Still hits right on the center of the cap, fires the gun, and when you cock it, you don't end up with you don't have to turn the gun, and you don't end up with the cap in the action. So that's just a little trick that all of you black powder shooters who have had that happen in the middle of a match, and I certainly have, it's a way of fixing the gun, or I shouldn't say fixing it, but modifying the gun so that you don't have that problem. It doesn't tie up on you in the middle of a shooting contest. So there you go. The Manhattan conversion of the Colt system. It will work on both the 1851 Navy as well as the 1860 Army. And done well, you will not have a cap fall back into the action again. So I hope that little tip helps you out, and that your shooting is all championship quality from here on in. This is the Singing Gunsmith, the old Singing Gunsmith, and getting older every day, saying thank you very much for listening, and happy trails. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.
The things I do for my public, for my fans. Did you press the button this time?
Yes, button's
all right.
pressed.
Really appreciate the